0.5%. 10-year yield.
Tesla out with earnings, stock a little bit lower, down about 1.5% in the after hours. Let's get to it with our in-house watcher of all things Tesla. One of them is Bloomberg News reporter Ed Ludlow, joining us from our Bloomberg 960 studio in San Francisco. So, Ed, listen, the stock's down the after hours. We'll get to maybe the reasons why. What are some of the highlights, though, here for the quarter?
Yeah, I think definitely a case of better than expected on the financials. It's not just a case of a beat in terms of earnings per share, but the margins were pretty good.
Ma'Khia Bryant, we say her name. Ma'Khia Bryant called the police for help. Columbus police officer, and then they name him, showed up and shot this 16-year-old girl point blank within a matter of seconds. Another black life stolen with no regard. End quote. That's what Black Lives Matter, Inc. decided to put out into the world about what happened. And it wasn't a rush to judgment within the first hour. It was days after the footage came out and showed exactly what happened. Notice the word senselessly. Police wasted horrible slander of the overwhelming majority of law enforcement officers of all skin colors in this country who work very hard at risk to themselves to keep us safe. But this statement is police wasted no time in senselessly taking another black child. Well, words have meaning. And this was not a senseless shooting. I'm not saying it's not tragic. I'm not saying it's not sad that a 16-year-old girl was in the middle of committing a violent crime and got shot. It is very sad. But the police shooting was not senseless. There are senseless crimes and senseless killings in our society, which are often particularly gut-wrenching and incomprehensible to a lot of people. This was not senseless. It actually makes sense, because you had one human being with a giant knife in the act of trying to murder another human being with that knife, and that murder was prevented by an armed police officer, saving that other life. And in this case, that life happened to be black. Black Lives Matter, especially that person who was almost about to get murdered in this context. But they say it's senseless. They say her name, they name the cop, right? Just like LeBron put his face out there to the world, and saying that he shot the child point blank within a matter of seconds, again, as if there's nothing that led to this. It's like he just showed up, got out of his car and said, whoop, it's been a few seconds, let me shoot that girl. And of course, that's not what happened. And of course, the people who made this statement and put it out for the Black Lives Matter organization, they knew this, because by that point, we all knew it. The timing of the shooting was directly related to the proximity to the attempted murder that was actively happening. And again, it closes with another black life stolen with no regard. Stolen. There is not even a hint or a mention of the knife, or the stabbing, or the other black life that was at stake. None of that. And again, the timing of this statement is what makes it especially horrific and indefensible in my mind, because it was not sort of a half-baked statement based on partial information. They deliberately put this out knowing the context, stripping the context out of it deliberately. And this is why I make a distinction on this show between saying Black Lives Matter, which I do and I believe, and Black Lives Matter, the organization, because of this. and this type of mentality and the politicians who've gone along with this and the attacks against law enforcement that are deepened by misinformation and lies like this. So as long as people are going to keep lying for racial reasons to stir up dissent and divide us, we feel an obligation to speak the truth and give relevant facts. And when people need to get called out, let's call them out. Because I know that some folks involved officially in the Black Lives Matter movement or this organization feel like they cannot be criticized, and if you do, then that's racist. And if you allow yourself to play by those rules, then you are abandoning the truth in cases like this, which we refuse to do. That would be senseless, and it would be cowardly, actually. We're not going to do it here. Taking a quick break, coming right back. You're listening to The Guy Benson Show.
You're listening to Guy Benson.
Одно из двух столиц. В общем, достаточно.
It's in my blood.
But why can't you sing?
You see, I mean, so maybe we'll get him on a line. I haven't seen him since I was about 6 years old. But he is. But yeah, he's my cousin.
Oh, hang on, we're going to talk to him now. We're not going to go to calls. That's what we're doing now. So we're going to get him on FaceTime.
Yeah, you better believe
you'll be
it,
able to
man.
see the Phantom without half his face covered up, won't you?
Can't wait. Frank Spencer about to come on the show.
No, it's
Ooh,
not.
Betty,
Frank
cat's
Spencer.
done a whoopsie.
Why do you think it's Frank Spencer?
Because he did the Phantom, didn't he?
Let's introduce Mike Sterling now, a.k.a. the Phantom. Mike, good evening to you. Almost look. Where are you?
Oh, yeah.
I'm down in the marina and just down at the boat. So it's I just thought it's a perfect place to have a chat with you. You know.
Amazing.
Okay. Are you Welsh, Mike?
He's got a beautiful voice, actually. You can hear the voice.
I am
yeah.
indeed from South Wales,
Where from?
Swansea.
Because my mother was born in Rumney.
Rumney. Here we go. It's the mother story from the song.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about my mum.
South Wales.
Born in Rumney. And
Rumney Valley.
Rumney.
in Rumney, the valley, see, and spent most of my life in my childhood in the summer in Porthcawl.
Oh, I love Porthcawl. I used to go there as a child. Yeah, it was wonderful on the fairgrounds and the beach.
Yeah, Fulgoni's Italian ice cream.
Yeah, man.
It's what I remember.
There was
Anyway,
always a
listen.
lot of Italians in the valleys, you see, making ice cream.
Yeah. Great. You've never been to Porthcawl, have you, Ash?
No, but can I just correct you? Italians do gelato.
Not
Gelato.
in South Wales.
Gelato.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, tell me, how long have you been the Phantom? I mean, you're not. Obviously, because theatres are not working at the moment, so everything is difficult. But are you going back to being the Phantom at some time or not?
Oh, would be nice. I mean, it's been a few years since I did the Phantom, but I did it for about 5 years. On and off. Did two roles actually. Initially, I was Raoul, and then I went on to play the lead for quite some time till just after 2000. So,
And what's that like? What is that like? Doing it every day, doing it twice, a day.
Do you think there's anywhere? Hang on. Do you think there's anywhere, Mike, you can get out of the wind slightly? It's making a lot of noise on the mic.
Is it right?
Maybe shield it with your hands.
Let me see if I can.
That's it.
Can we see the sea while you're doing it?
That's it.
Is that better?
That's much
How's
better.
that?
Yeah.
That's
I think he's
close.
talking in his duffel coat. Yeah.
Ooh, that's a
There's
nice boat, Ash. Look.
That's beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, that's a nice boat. So, are you in Broadstairs?
No, I'm not.
Where are you?
I'm down in Port Solent.
Oh, really nice. My brother lives there. Yeah.
It's lovely. It's beautiful down here. Can you hear me better now? Because I've changed the audio.
So, what was that? What was it like doing the same part for 5 years? Is it good, or does it get a bit monotonous, or do you change it every time a bit somehow?
It's always discovering. I think it's always to go for. It's always your opening night.
This is your new home speaking. I know you haven't moved in yet, but I need some favors. Could you dust the blinds? The dust makes me feel dusty. Also, we could save a lot of money if you bundled your home and car insurance with Geico. It's super easy to do online or over the phone. Last favor, when you move in, could you stick to one aesthetic? The last owner had a weird mix of floral wallpaper and nautical tchotchkes, and I can't have another identity crisis.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
A strong work ethic takes pride in a job well done. This is you. But to get an honest day's work, you need a callback. You need a job. Express Employment Professionals can help. We'll connect you to the right company. We're committed to your success and never charge a fee to find you a job. Express knows jobs. Get to know Express. Find your location at expresspros.com or on the Express Jobs app.
You can say a lot about yourself without saying a word. So what are you saying about yourself?
I'm Jake. I think I was just maybe going through a period where I wanted to do something else. You know, I had more time. I mean, volunteering obviously has its benefits in that when you do things to help others, it always comes back to you, you know. The people I chose was the Humane Society because I have a connection to animals. In high school, worked at a veterinarian and having experienced that when I was younger, I just wanted to help. I knew that the Humane Society needed volunteers because it's not glamorous work. The big picture is that you're part of not only a group of people, but the cause. Just being a part of that experience was life-changing for sure. When you walk out of there at the end of the day after your experience, you feel like, yeah, I did something cool. I feel really good about it, you know?
Be a part of Project.
Oh.
What a beautiful voice.
Была 7-й. Успех Земли качал.
По правилам. Nuclear deal. Apparently, Zarif gave a speech that was secretly recorded. It was recorded and was leaked. And in the course of these comments, Zarif said a number of things about internal politics within Iran, the nuclear deal, a whole host of issues. Here's one line that stuck out to me. Quote, Zarif also says that by assassinating Soleimani, Qasem Soleimani, remember the head of the Revolutionary Guard, a terrorist organization. He was a terrorist with American blood all over his hands. He traveled to Iraq to plan more attacks against Americans, and we took him out under President Trump. And that was the right thing to do. A lot of people went crazy and said it's going to start World War III. Of course, it did not do that. It took a major terrorist off the battlefield. Zarif says that by taking out Soleimani in Iraq, quote, the United States delivered a major blow to Iran, more damaging than if it had wiped out an entire city in an attack. And it wasn't an entire city. It was one very dangerous, bloodthirsty, anti-American terrorist. And Zarif said that inflicted a huge amount of pain and damage on the regime. A blow for peace, as a matter of fact, is what I would call it. Then there's this from the New York Times piece. Quote, former Secretary of State John Kerry informed Zarif that Israel had attacked Iranian interests in Syria at least 200 times. To his astonishment, Mr. Zarif said. So I would like some more information on this. I think John Kerry needs to be asked about this. Was John Kerry, our Secretary of State, telling our enemies in Iran about the operations of our ally, Israel? What is that about? The press secretary at the White House was asked about this today, and Jen Psaki said, quote, we are not going to comment on leaked tapes. It's not good enough. What did John Kerry do here? An awful, awful look, if true.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, this is Trey Gowdy, host of the Trey Gowdy Podcast. Every Tuesday, you'll hear what's on my mind. Plus, every Thursday, there's a special bonus episode where we answer the questions that are on your mind. Make sure to spend your Tuesdays and Thursdays with Trey. Subscribe now at foxnewspodcast.com or wherever you download podcasts. Hope to see you.
America's listening to Fox News. Fox News Radio. On air, online, on demand. The latest news, your favorite talk show hosts, the hottest podcasts, all in one place. America is listening to Fox News. Fox
News, I'm Steve Rappaport. The Justice Department to investigate police practices in Louisville, Kentucky.
Бургерных и так далее, и люди там оставляют денег, приходя на матч, примерно столько, чтобы не платить за билет.
Their LMPD engages in a pattern or practice of using unreasonable force, including with respect to people involved in peaceful, expressive activities.
Louisville Democratic Mayor Greg Fisher says he welcomes the investigation. The Supreme Court agreeing to hear a challenge to a New York law that limits defense.
Several other states have similar laws. This case will likely be argued in the fall when the new Supreme Court term begins. It will mark the first major gun rights case since Justice Amy Coney Barrett joined the court in October.
Fox's Jared Halpern. America is listening to Fox News.
The Dean's List with Janice Dean.
A teenager from New Mexico.
Устроили акцию против своей команды болельщиков.
13-year-old Cadence Hensley was spending her spring break visiting Disney World. Hotel, she noticed a little body in the deep end of the water. She was scared and nervous, but her instincts kicked in. 3-year-old Haven Williams was also spending vacation with her parents in Florida. Her mom, Ashley, stepped away from the pool for just a moment. Cadence helped get Haven out of the pool as her lip turned purple. Her mom, Ashley, recognized it was her daughter based on her child's swimsuit. A heroic bystander helped Cadence perform CPR until Haven could be transported to the hospital. She's expected to make a full recovery. Both families have kept in touch and plan on being lifelong friends. Cadence, thank you for your quick actions that saved Little Haven. Janice Dean, Fox News.
This is Fox News Talk.
Headline Rewind.
1992.
Today we have closed the book on apartheid, and that chapter is finally closed.
I experimented with marijuana a time or two, and I didn't like it and didn't inhale.
It's sad to see the community that I grew up in go up in flames like this. It really is.
Just want to say, can we all get along? Can we get along?
It doesn't help matters when primetime TV has Murphy Brown, a character who supposedly epitomizes today's intelligent, highly paid professional woman, mocking the importance of fathers by bearing a child alone.
It has been an honor and a privilege to come into your homes all these years and entertain you. I bid you a very heartfelt good night.
Dade County as we know it, especially from the Kendall area south, is never going to be the same. It is fundamentally destroyed.
News as it happened then, news as it happens now.
This is Fox News Talk.
I'm Ashley Dvorkin with a Fox Celebrity Profile with Bobby Cannavale, who co-stars with Melissa McCarthy and Octavia Spencer in Netflix's new superhero comedy Thunder Force, written and directed by McCarthy's husband, Ben Falcone. Last time I spoke with him, he was playing the nice guy opposite Melissa. This time it's the role of villain, leading a group of bad guys, aka miscreants, the superheroes take on.
Thankfully, I've got friends like Ben and Melissa who have shined a light on different parts of me and let me play a romantic lead, and they let me play a big baddie like this. And I'm going to work with them again in a few months, and I'm going to play a completely different character.
This city deserves what's coming to it.
Bobby shared what it means to him to have this consistent collaboration with them in his career.
I think it's a testament to our work ethics and our admiration for each other, and it's really nice because it just doesn't happen all the time. I have friends that I've been dying to work with that I've never gotten a chance to work with, so the fact that I've gotten to work with them for now 5 times is pretty unusual.
Ashley Dvorkin, Fox News.
It's America's Life Coach. Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
Lara Trump.
I have been considering running for Senate in my home state. It is obviously, though, a very big decision. It would require moving my family around, etc. So I'm still kind of working on it right now. Maybe I could break the news if there is news to break right here on this show. We'll see.
Whoa, take that, Hannity.
Weekdays, noon to 3 p.m. Eastern. Listen live or get the podcast now at foxacrossamerica.com.
Если вам понравился матч ЦСКА «Спартак», ну что вы, это означает, что по-прежнему важно, выиграют ли наши у не наших. Это самый главный вопрос. А раз так, то это будет существовать на любом уровне.
Contributor, head of research at Bustle, also chief romance correspondent here at the Guy Benson Show. And Jesse, it's good to have you back.
Thank you so much.
Are there any updates that you can give us in your romance capacity involving your upcoming nuptials?
No, still unplanned, and so you are not invited. There is no party to speak of at this point. So
yeah, and that's completely fair. On that front, I do want to give a special Fox News shout out to Peter Ducey, our colleague, who just got married to one of our other colleagues, Hillary Vaughn.
Really?
Yeah.
Stop it. I didn't know that.
For real. So they were very good.
Did you know they were a couple?
No. Nope. I saw, apparently, Jen Psaki came out today, congratulated Peter Ducey on getting married, and I saw that on Twitter. And then I'm looking at this story that has a photograph. I guess Fox and Friends covered it. And there's a photo of Peter in a tux, and Hillary is in her white dress, and they both look amazing. So congratulations to Peter and Hillary, our colleagues, who are now hitched. That's terrific.
It's totally terrific, and you've got to applaud anyone, especially two people that are on television, for managing to keep it at least secret from us. And I feel like we're at least mid-level connected within the building. Like, we're not like super gossip, but I don't think people hate us, so they would tell us something like, hey, did you know Peter Ducey is dating Hillary Vaughn? So very cool, and big congratulations, and very kind of Jen Psaki to give a wedding shout out.
It was nice. Now I'm racking my brain because there's a restaurant that we go to all the time in my neighborhood, like the type of thing where we're regulars and they know our names and know our drink order and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I have bumped into Peter there a couple times because he lives in the neighborhood, and now that I'm thinking about it, I'm 80% sure he was there with Hillary Vaughn on a date at one point. But again, like this is like very, very impressive, like Black Ops stuff. To have a
100%.
very serious relationship to the point of getting married, where, I mean, I live down the street from him. I mean, clearly we must not be that close because he's not telling me anything. I'll have to give him a hard time next time I see him or have him on the show. In fact, we should maybe book him. See, this, Jessica, this right here is why he is White House correspondent and not chief romance correspondent on this show. Because if he were chief romance correspondent, he would be fired immediately. Even though I'm happy for him and he got married, this is good news, very romantic. We need to know these things here on the program. So
I feel that way, absolutely. Your listeners, I'm not sure how much they like the fact that I'd say 80% of the time now I just come on and talk about, engagement rings and dating rumors. But
I think that they might prefer that to you talking about your liberal politics, honestly. So next nonsense subject I want to briefly mention to you. I texted you the other day that I heard Cody Rigsby, one of the instructors, give a shout out to a user that it sounded exactly like Jessica Tarloff, but your name is not your username. So I either invented that or wanted to hear it. Is that correct?
Yes, but what was funny about it, so when you texted me, I was mid-drive from San Francisco to Los Angeles. I was off last week enjoying
did you do like Route 1, that beautiful drive down the coast?
No, because a lot of it is closed now because the earth has fallen off into the sea.
Yeah, so you don't want to be driving on that. Got it. Okay,
and
so
you're
driving.
Forever if you want to do it in a day.
It's very long.
So we just went on 5, an interstate route, and I knew that there was an in and out to be had on the route, so that was a key component of this. But I got this text from you that said, "Is your Peloton name just your name?" And I started sweating right away, like I sweat when I'm like 20 minutes into a Tunde class. And I was like, oh my God, does the world know that I come in the back quarter of all riders now? Like, I thought some like horrible Peloton hack had happened. Not that would be the most embarrassing thing in the world, because I frankly, and this is a whole other, we need like 8 segments for this, because I think that the game is rigged against people who actually follow the directions, because there's no way to get like in the top 10% if you're doing what they tell you to do.
So they have these beta sessions. I almost never do them live. I don't think I've maybe done one live ride ever, but they have these beta sessions where they'll have maybe a dozen people doing it after the fact, like on tape delay, but all at the same time, right? So I've done a few of those, and I was on one of them recently, and it was a pretty tough ride, and my output, I would say, was pretty damn good. And I get to the end of the ride, and there were only 5 or 6 of us in that group, and I forget what my output was, but it was, let's just say for the sake of argument, it was like, it was, it was an hour-long ride. It was an hour-long ride with Jen Sherman.
Whoa.
And I do those very rarely. I do those when I've had too much to eat or drink, and I feel like I have to do penance. So I was doing an hour-long ride, miserable, but I did the whole thing, and my output was whatever, like close to 400, in the 400 range.
That's a lot.
It was a lot. That was a big output, but other people right around me had a similar output, and then the guy who was in first place was at almost 1,100.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, there is no chance that you went along with this program. You must have just been going full bore like a lunatic for the full hour to get a number like that. I mean, congrats. You do you.
Well, so yes, and I happen to bring this back to my romance side, my fiancé is one of those jerks in the top 1 or 2%.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't follow the class. He listens to his own music. He listens to the Grateful Dead, and he rides at 60 or 70 plus resistance. He played Division I football, so he's like used to just dying during workouts. And he stays up there the whole time that he's riding. And another friend of mine who is a swimmer and went to the Junior Olympics for swimming does the same thing. He's in London, and he's also at the top of his class. So that is how they're doing this.
But I'm fine with this. If that's what people feel like they need to get a good workout in. See, I'm not. Leave it to the Democrats to demonize the top 1%. As usual, we celebrate success here on the Guy Benson Show. All right, so moving on from Peloton, topic number 3, Oscars. I did not watch the Academy Awards, not 1 minute of it. It was not a boycott. I just don't care.
No one else did.
Yeah, it was down almost 60% over last year, which was already pretty low. The thing is, Jess, day of, I was like, oh yeah, it's the Oscars today. And I looked at the nominated movies. I've never heard of these movies, let alone seen them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I watched most of it. I got the second half because I was flying home last night. Though I did watch the Nets on Hulu live TV on my phone on the plane, which was fun. I knew a good chunk of the movies, but it was undoubtedly a very disappointing year. And I think the viewership reflects the fact that people don't know these movies. First of all, we haven't been in theaters in a year, which is very complicating. And Frances McDormand, in one of her acceptance speeches for Nomadland, implored people to please go back to the theater once it's safe. But it was also, it was just weird. Like the Trial of the Chicago 7, which is an incredible story, was up for Best Picture, and Sacha Baron Cohen for Best Actor. And if you watch it, you're like, okay, it's a Netflix movie, right? And not a Netflix movie like Roma was a Netflix movie. Like a Netflix movie and people seem pretty pissed about a lot of the results. Like My Octopus Teacher winning, people didn't like, even though I loved My Octopus Teacher. The Anthony Hopkins chat.
There's something called, wait, just hold up. There's something called My Octopus Teacher.
It's an incredible documentary about a South African documentarian who focuses on wildlife, who kind of burns out and goes back to where he grew up, and he goes diving every day for over a year and befriends this octopus who becomes his lifeline and connection to his soul. And the octopus teaches him all about life. And it's just, the footage is incredible. He set up cameras that were going 24 hours a day. It's beautiful. You guys should watch it. But from what I'm reading, it was not the best documentary of the year.
So now I'm understanding some of the tweets last night about people saying that people are desperately searching for problematic tweets from the octopus and his teens.
Yeah,
so we can all cancel
exactly.
the octopus together. Last subject, Jessica Tarlov, on something that you and I typically would talk about under normal circumstances or on television together. We are approaching the 100-day milestone for President Biden. Mm-hmm. I've always found sort of that to be an interesting period of time and why it's significant and how that became a thing. But it is a measuring stick. People look at the first 3 months or so. 100 days, how are things going? And I think you and I would probably have different answers to this if we were teachers grading President Biden and the administration up to this point. But from your perspective, as kind of a Biden Democrat, what would you say your score, your grade would be for Team Biden almost 100 days in, and why?
I would say, very high marks, like in the 90s, I guess, out of 100. I think that the relief package is definitely the crown jewel of all of this. We'll see what happens with the jobs plan and the new family plan that's going to be released, I guess, later this week. But I'm very pleased to see that the COVID relief got through quickly, that there's money going to state and local areas that need help, that we're talking about things like paid family leave. Obviously getting teachers back in school remains our biggest challenge. I like his executive orders, protecting the dreamers, re-entering the WHO, the Paris Climate Accords. I'd like to see, the reason it's not a 10 out of 10, I would like more bold action on gun reform. But I can't complain much, and he remains over 50% in terms of approval. I think, generally speaking, the American public is digging the beginning of Biden.
Yeah, well, I mean, the numbers are down from where they were, and I would obviously give different grades on almost every issue that you did just mention. I would say I saw AOC was quoted the other day saying that she was pleasantly surprised. She was expecting sort of a moderate presidency with cooperation with Republicans, and she's very pleased that that is not what's happening. And so I sort of wonder, of course, AOC would be happy to see sort of a lefty administration doing, hardcore lefty progressive things. But is that what people voted for, right? Joe Biden campaigned as a moderate. He pledged to be a cooperator and a uniter and bringing people together. And I know that there's a lot of Republicans who sort of expected, at least on Capitol Hill, we've worked with him before, we know what we're getting, who are saying, okay, we're not really seeing quite so much of that. And that's the thing that was kind of a central element of his I'm not Trump presidential campaign.
100%. So, I mean, I don't want to get into the semantics of, like, whether being a uniter means that he's going to support things that are more akin to Republican plans, which is kind of how I think it's been misportrayed by, like, Kevin McCarthy and Mitch McConnell. Like, no president is going to show up and essentially betray the priorities of their political party. And I guess when I hear that from AOC, I'm happy to see it because she is powerful in her own right within the caucus. But I haven't seen anything out of Joe Biden that is actually flying around, like that he's trying to ban 90% of red meats, and that we're gonna have plant-based beer, which is actually what all beer is, and things like that. But when you look at the policies, is any of this so radical? And he always said that he was going to be running to have an FDR-like presidency, and I think that's very much what he's doing, and that our country needs that level of revival and support after what we've gone through the last 12 to 14 months.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've seen some stuff there where I think he's indulging radicalism or endorsing certain things and going down certain culture war paths that are pretty radical, and certainly not kind of like the, hey, let's all work together Joe Biden that we heard from in his victory speech, his inaugural. But it is early days still, not quite 100 days, but almost there. And, you're entitled to your views. This is why we like having Democrats on, because you speak for a lot of people. Maybe not a huge number of people in this particular audience, but you guys are out there. And we're obviously much tougher on the president and his administration for, I think, fair reasons. But we like having different views here, including different views about what's acceptable Peloton etiquette, even though I think we kind of agree on that one. Broadly speaking, we might need to hammer that out a little bit further in the future. Jessica Tarloff, chief romance correspondent, not the newly married Peter Doocy, for obvious reasons, keeping that a secret from the world.
And Hillary.
Yeah, both of them together, conspiring, colluding, if you will. Head of research at Bustle, also Fox News contributor. A lot going on with Jessica Tarloff. Always appreciate having you here, Jessie.
Thanks so much for having me, and I will talk to you soon, I'm sure.
Sounds good, and we'll be right back.
You're listening to Guy Benson.
Hey guys, Mother's Day is right around the corner, and this year you need to make it extra special. Because mom deserves more than just breakfast in bed. So how about super cozy pajamas designed for ultimate relaxation, exclusively from Pajamagram.com? The trusted PJ experts who know exactly what moms want, with timeless looks, playful patterns, and gift for Mother's Day. Super soft PJs that'll leave her feeling cozy, comfy, and ready to unwind. Whether she's a dog lover, a coffee connoisseur, or anything in between, Pajamagram has the perfect PJs for your mom. And right now, Pajamagram.com is including free gift packaging with your order, which means you don't have to wrap a thing. Just go to Pajamagram.com and grab the perfect Mother's Day gift with free gift packaging now. It's fast, it's easy, and delivery by Mother's Day is guaranteed. That's Pajamagram.com.
If you're worried about your hard-earned dollars becoming worthless or your 401k or IRA losing value, now is the time to move into gold. No, not gold or silver stocks, but real gold and silver you can actually hold in your hands. How do you get real gold and silver? By calling Oxford Gold today at 833-600-GOLD. The Oxford Gold Group will teach you everything you need to know about owning real gold and silver. It's a lot easier than you think. Call the Oxford Gold Group right now at 833-600-GOLD to get your free gold and silver investment guide. Put your savings and retirement accounts into something real, like gold and silver. Get your free Oxford Gold Group investment guide today and learn how easy it is to have real gold and silver delivered to your home, or how you can have real gold and silver in your retirement account. Don't sit back and watch your savings and retirement account suffer. Now is the time to make your money work as hard for you as you did for your money. So do this. Call the Oxford Gold Group right now, today, 833-600-GOLD. That's 833-600-GOLD.
From the Fox News Podcasts Network.
Hey, it's Will Kane, co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend. Join me every Monday and Friday as I share my thoughts on a wide range of topics, from sports and pop culture to politics and business. And with the help of newsmakers and personalities, I will provide you my free, unfiltered, uncancelable opinion on the hottest topics in America.
The Will Kane Podcast. Subscribe and listen now at foxnewspodcasts.com or wherever you get your podcasts. America is listening to Fox News.
This is House Call for Health. The University of Utah has set up a new clinic to help patients suffering from long-term coronavirus effects.
We want to take these patients seriously and listen to what they have to say and support them through their post-COVID journey as well.
That's Dr. Jeanette Brown, University of Utah Post-COVID Clinic Medical Director. Patients will be connected with specialists at the hospital's Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation Clinic.
It allows us to share experiences and say, hey, this worked for this patient. This is a possibility that we could try.
Lisa O'Brien has been suffering from long-term symptoms and says one of the biggest struggles with her post-COVID journey has been inconsistencies in her treatment plan.
We'll have people say, well, my neurologist told me to do this, but my cardiologist told me to do this. And they're two completely different things. And so that can get a little confusing.
For more on the coronavirus, go to foxnewshealth.com. House Call for Health. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News.
Nothing beats the Fox News app.
Breaking news, alerts, opinion, and all your favorite shows available anytime.
It's free. It's fun. It's got the 5.
Get access to all things Fox News right in the palm of your hand. The Fox News app. Download it today. The Women of the Bible Speak, a new book from Shannon Bream.
The women of the Bible live timeless stories. By examining them, we can understand what it means to be a woman of faith today.
The Women of the Bible Speak. Available now at foxnews.com/books.
Here on the Guy Benson Show. Thanks for tuning in. It's a big day here at the show for our very own Quiet Wyatt, who's been very busy these last few days, including getting his first vaccine dose. Wyatt, when was that, and which one did you get?
It was this morning at 10 a.m., and I got the Pfizer vaccine.
And have you had any reaction whatsoever to it yet?
Nope, all good.
Was it a smooth experience? Where did this take place?
It was actually really smooth. I went to a CVS that was kind of close to my house. I had to drive a little bit. I kind of went a little out of my way just so I can get the Pfizer, because I wanted Pfizer instead of Moderna.
Oh, really? Is my Moderna not good enough for you, Wyatt?
I wanted to be like producer Christine. I wanted to be twins with producer Christine on our backseat.
That's the first time that's ever been said by anyone about producer Christine. But you had it in your mind. You wanted the Pfizer, so you went a little kind of vaccine shopping. You found the pharmacy that had your preference. The jab went in the arm this morning, and then yesterday you had an exciting experience down in your neck of the woods in New Jersey as well. Who did you get a photo with?
I got to see America's dog, Jasper. Dana Perino's dog, Jasper.
And how did you bump into Jasper on the street? How did this come to be?
So Dana was having a book signing for her new book, Everything Will Be Okay. And I saw it was, she was advertising it on the 5 and all the shows. And she said it was in Mass 1, New Jersey, which is close to me right here. So I said, go by and check it out. And when I went there was a huge line wrapped around the street, bunch of Fox fans over there getting their book signed and meeting Dana. But I went to go see the big star, which is Jasper. And I met Jasper.
And Jasper's outside the bookstore just hanging, taking photos?
Yep. Yeah, he was hamming it up. That dog is so precious. Just sits there and just takes pictures with everyone. And it was a lot of fun. I love Jasper. I love seeing the pictures. I love Roy. Always seen Roy on Instagram and everything.
Oh yeah, Roy got a huge bone as a gift this weekend. It's hilariously long. It's 1.5 foot long, and he's not a huge dog. And he has it in his teeth, and he just clip-clops around. He parades around the house showing it off with his tail wagging like crazy. It makes him very happy. But I sort of get the sense, Wyatt, that Dana Perino, of all people, would have an exceptionally well-behaved, well-trained dog, and it sounded like that was your experience with Jasper?
Yes. You got to get Roy and Jasper to have a play date.
Oh, yes. That actually sounds awesome. Maybe Roy could even learn a thing or two from Jasper, who's like American canine royalty, as a matter of fact. So congratulations, huge turnout for Dana. The book is Everything Will Be Okay. And Wyatt, congratulations to you. You are now half vaxxed, and we'll keep up with this saga for the whole team. Max is fully vaxxed. He's got J&J. I'm half vaxxed. Christine's half. Straight ahead.
Сели бы умирать, что бегли под пальмой.
Если пошли работать пекарем там или кем.
Он пользуется спросом, он работает. Вы считаете себя умнее Даниила Леви, который сейчас последнего работу дать?
Ну да, потом в конце концов не всем же все время побеждать. У него и так достаточно большой список побед. Он себе на имя заработал, теперь имя работает на...
поддерживать.
Ладно, время наше уже подходит к концу. Я тоже оставлю что-нибудь на следующую передачу. Я вам напомню, что это была программа «Футбольный клуб». Скажу также, что в ближайшее время нас с вами ждет Бетловский час с Владимиром Ильинским после полуночи. С часа до 3 ночи программа Игоря и Юджина «Хранитель снов». Ну а футбольный клуб Василий Уткин и Константин Пахмелов с вами прощаются до следующей недели.
А Ильинский сегодня в студии работает?
Не готов тебе сказать, у меня этой информации в анонсе нет, поэтому не знаю. Нет, не из студии.
Жалко. Ну хорошо.
Будь здоров, Василий.
Будьте все здоровы, это очень актуально. До свидания.
Проект «Я Докс». Суд разрешил редакторам студенческого журнала «Докса» выходить из дома на 1 минуту в течение 2 месяцев с 23:59 до 0 часов. «Эхо Москвы» отдает ребятам из «Доксы» эту минуту.
Привет, это Алла Гутникова, я Докса, и я прочту стихотворение Геннадия Каневского из сборника «Не пытайтесь покинуть». Приговоренные к ветру, стоят на ветру. Равнодушны. Только один ходит вокруг и старается заслонить хоть немного. Хлеба подсунет кусок, когда отвернется начальство. Упавшим подложит под голову немного соломы. А по вечерам в полголоса поет колыбельные. То Хренникова, то Гершвина. Стоя заснуть нелегко. Он из группы вторых баритонов, из хора отличников, из караула усталых, вытертых медленной тряпкой блеклого неба.
Я Докса.
Радио Москвы.
Полночь в Москве, в студии Яков Широков. В эфире информационная программа «Эхо». В Москве новые задержания в связи с акцией в поддержку Алексея Навального. Татьяна Доронина возвращается к руководству МХАТ имени Горького. В Москве этим вечером будут перекрывать центр города.
Вы слушаете информационную программу «Эхо».
Московская полиция задержала еще нескольких человек в связи с прошедшей акцией в поддержку Алексея Навального. По данным правозащитного проекта ВД-Инфо, сотрудники МВД доставили в отделе не менее 5 задержанных, в том числе политика Леонида Гозмана и общественного активиста Михаила Кригера. В ВД «Сокол» доставили профессора РГГУ Александра Гаджаняна. По подсчетам правозащитников, уже более 30 человек задержаны за минувшие дни в связи с протестами прошлой среды. Сегодня в отдел полиции Раменки пригласили писателя и ведущего «Эхо» Дмитрия Быкова. По его сведениям, это также связано с акцией в поддержку Навального. Ранее, после митинга в среду, Быков говорил в эфире «Эхо», что не стоит ожидать от властей изменения подхода к протестам.
Я давно отказался от намерения найти какую-то единую стратегию в поведении власти. Напротив, мне кажется, она по Салтыкову-Щедрину решила держать нас в состоянии постоянного изумления. Все шли в полной готовности к самым жестким задержаниям. И вместо этого мы получили такую чуть ли не гражданскую идиллию в Москве и избиение младенцев в Петербурге. Некоторые идеалисты уже начали писать: ну видите, как может быть хорошо. Но ведь проблема в том, что им совсем не надо, чтобы было хорошо. Вот это не входит в их задачи. Даже чтобы им было хорошо, потому что они не очень умеют наслаждаться. А вот чтобы нам было хорошо, это совсем никому не нужно. Поэтому я бы предложил не очаровываться, не испытывать особого оптимизма.
Суды, между тем, рассмотрели административные дела в отношении некоторых протестовавших. Нескольких задержанных оштрафовали. Некоторых, как председателя движения «Гражданское общество» Михаила Светова, приговорили к административному аресту. Двоих, по данным УВД-Инфо, отпустили. Дела в отношении них прекращены. Главный редактор кузбасского интернет-издания «Новости Киселевска» Наталья Зубкова покинула Россию. Она объяснила это опасением за свою безопасность. Как сказала Зубкова интернет-изданию «Сота Вижн», до этого она пыталась избежать давления, переехав в другой регион, но это не помогло.
Я не чувствовала себя в безопасности на территории Российской Федерации, а приезд следователя Варламова в Екатеринбург показал, что меня и моего ребенка могут достать в любом уголке нашей прекрасной страны. Рассматривают, задают вопрос. В Кузбассе, особенно в Киселевске. Также я буду
Среди опубликованных документов